It's the Science Fiction Show with your friends Jason, Michael, Keith, and special guest Austin May is joining us for episode 70. But since Michael's back, are there any episode 69 jokes you want to get in?
No, not really.
Wire?
No, I'm good.
All right. Well, I thought just want to make sure that we were all covered. And
I'm saving
we all
this
had
for
the
later.
opportunity. All right, so we've got a big show for you planned tonight. We got a lot to talk about. We'll talk about Jurassic World, which is part of the reason why Austin is in one of these 4 boxes that you see around you. Robocop is out. The ratings are as we thought they would be. We'll talk a little bit about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and maybe where they should go with that. The Olympics are going on. We'll get some impressions from the fellas around the room. Michael's got a mea culpa about Sandra Bullock. Well, maybe it's not about Sandra Bullock. It's just about gravity, right?
Good point, Jason. Good point. Yeah, no.
All right, yeah. So we'll be specific about that. We're recording this the day before Valentine's Day, so that's why all 4 of us are in the same room, happily so. Clone Wars is coming to Netflix, and ILM is expanding into London. We'll get to all that in just a second. Let's go around the grid here. Michael, you first. Welcome back. How you been?
I've been good, man. Good. Happy to see that we're recording. We finally got to the video podcast. I'm so happy that we're doing the video podcast so that we could turn our 6 listeners into 3 or at least 2 by the time they see us. You know, the whole video killed the radio star.
Right.
Hopefully that won't be our theme song for this year.
Our listener viewers are anxious, right, Keith, to hear all about our daily joy of the podcast.
Oh, they love us. They just can't wait every week, all 6 of them. Well, but no, it's been interesting. I mean, the video style of it is I've been enjoying it so far. I mean, that first episode really looked great. I mean, Michael could have been there and looked sexy and everything like he normally does, but you know, he dodged us.
It was small and broken. And then before we get to Austin May and ask him how he's doing, we want to say thank you for our first video podcast. More than 350 downloads so far and climbing, so we very much appreciate that. Austin, welcome back. How you been?
Thank you. I've been great. I'm thrilled to be back. So you dangled the Jurassic Park thing in front of me. So I even got dressed up for the occasion. So.
And before we started recording, Austin was trying to hang a Jurassic Park placard over his left shoulder there. It didn't work out, but he did get ice cream. So we're all a little bit jealous of that. All right, so
Katie got ice cream.
Wait, hold on a second. Hold on. Did you guys talk about that in episode 69? This new sexual thing called dangling the Jurassic Park thing in front of me?
No, we haven't talked about that at all.
All right, I'm going to see if I can pull that off with my wife later.
That's what I plan to do tomorrow for Valentine's Day.
Pull it off. Wow, we just went through 3 sexual innuendos there. We're barely 4 minutes out of the gate, so it's going to be a good show. Michael is, of course, endorsing all the products that you see today for no particular reason, but Michael wanted to be ready to go when we were on the show. As you can see, my creative mess behind me is my basement evolving. Austin's got his stuff. But anyway... as always, we thank Aaron Custerer for our music before we get started. All right, well, let's get to it, guys. You know, the primary reason we have Austin here is to talk a little bit about Jurassic World, which has started filming. Now, my knowledge on this isn't as good, but let's go to our Jurassic World senior correspondent, Austin May, for a report on what's happening right now. Austin, go ahead.
Okay, so the most thrilling news that I've seen so far is that we actually have photographs of the set being built in Hawaii, which to me is as good a confirmation that this thing is actually happening as we've had since 2001. You know, when Jurassic Park 3, which we hate to acknowledge even exists, came out.
But who's got the storyline on this one? What's this one going to be about? Keith?
Colin Trevorrow. Oh, you're not talking
anybody.
about...
Go ahead.
Oh. Anybody? Because
No,
I
go
got
ahead.
my thoughts. All right.
Well, I thought Laura Dern makes a return in her role, right, a reprisal, because much to Austin's satisfaction. And
Iron
the whole
going to bed,
story, the whole thing is going to be a love interest where she reunites with Sam Neill's character.
Actually, you know what? I'm so glad you brought that up, because as it happens, Bryce Dallas Howard, who is one of my top 2 favorite actresses, we'll forgive her for Lady in the Water, is actually cast as the main female role. So Jurassic Park is making up for the whole Laura Dern thing. What is that?
How about Spider-Man 3? Well,
What about Spider-Man 3? No, she was blonde in that. I don't even acknowledge that. Dude, I have a thing for redheads. I don't know if you know this or not. Kay would have told you.
I think I remember from last time we saw you on video. Yes.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I
okay.
recall that as well.
Yeah, no, so, yeah. don't even acknowledge her performance in Spider-Man 3.
So we're going to get more dinosaurs. Now, I remember when we talked off-air last time, Austin, which was last week, you said something about them sort of revisiting the park again, and the genesis is kind of from there, or what?
That's what all the internet buzz seems to suggest, including podcasts and stuff from Colin Trevorrow himself. The idea, the popular speculation at the moment is that they're going to go back to Isla Nublar, and we are actually going to see a fully functioning dinosaur theme park. They've made up for the mistakes of the past, and they figured things out, or at least they thought they have, and they've got it working. And it makes sense, because at this point, considering the events of the Lost World, the world knows these dinosaurs are out there, and we saw what happened in Jurassic Park 3. Again, hate to admit that it even happened, but the world knows about them. The world wants to see these, and they're willing to take drastic measures to get out and see them. So why wouldn't somebody come in and say, all right, we've got it. We've got the technology. You got to remember, this is 20 years after the first movie came out, and this Jurassic World is set 20-something years after the first movie came out. So technology has gotten better, that kind of thing. I think they can do it. Let's
go around the room real quick. Let's start with Mike, since he has been in absentia. Mike, can they reignite what they had with the first movie by revisiting? Has it been long enough? What can they do to make this thing go again?
Oh yeah, certainly it's been long enough in this ADD society. We're plenty far away from the original Jurassic Park film, and even the last film, Jurassic Park 3. Dinosaurs are cool. People love dinosaurs.
Yeah.
I would have loved to seen, and I don't know if you read this as well, Austin. One of the earlier concepts for this film was that it was like Island of Dr. Moreau-ish, where they'd taken some dog DNA and mixed it with dinosaurs, and we had craziness. And Val Kilmer could be in it too. That would be great, because he looks like 3 people now, and it's a crazy theme. But I think, again, taking us back where you're not rebooting this, if you will, we go back to Isla Nublar, fully functioning park, that would be cool, and see if they can pull it off, because maybe they will indeed have dinosaurs on their dinosaur tour. So we'll see.
Do you think they can pull it off again?
Well, as long as they go back to the original concept, in 2004 the idea was that a group of soldiers are genetically crossed humans and dinosaurs, and just like the idea that Michael just pitched, that's not going to drag in dinosaur fans and even kaiju fans or monster fans. It's just not going to pull it in when you go that way. If you're going to do Jurassic Park, then you're doing dinosaurs, and you're doing genetic dinosaurs, not these crossbreeds and anything else. I think they have a great opportunity here. I really do.
Yeah.
But if it's not done right, I mean, from the very first second, they're just it's going to be gone, because people are still picking up Jurassic Park on DVD. They're still watching the original Jurassic Park on DVD, and if it doesn't match all of what they've seen prior, it's not going to be a hit.
Now, Michael, this was a pet project, I believe, of one-time show opener Phil Tippett, wasn't it? I mean, this was something that he was intimately involved in as well, or no?
He is, and guess what? He is still intimately involved in it, because he has been. It's been announced that he is the dinosaur wrangler on the film, if you will. If anybody knows more about animal motion, human motion, stop motion, go motion, how to make things that never existed before look real, especially a combination of a practical effect where it's a model that you're animating versus in a CG model, I'm really pleased about that, because I'm expecting realistic dinosaur movement, things that will be believable and look real to me, much like the Star Wars original trilogy looked real, where the prequels don't look real. I'm expecting this to be a magnificent looking film, at least from a dinosaur perspective, thanks to Mr. Mad Genius Phil Tippett.
I think one of the things that really makes Jurassic Park for me, Austin, is the fact that we got to see dinosaurs extremely realistically portrayed. So in a sense, we were reintroduced to dinosaurs in such a wonderful way. Again, I think I pointed out when we were talking before that fantastic scene where Samuel gets out of the Jeep and his sunglasses are jittering, and he looks out and sees the brontosauruses crossing the plain and all that stuff. And the whole they do run in herds. Do you think they have to kind of achieve that again? I mean, you're in the 15%. You're sold. You're going to go see the movie. But from a more broader perspective, I mean, for someone who maybe not necessarily a Jurassic fan, what are the elements that kind of they have to get right?
Okay, well, I do not think that the dinosaurs themselves are going to be what draw people into this movie, or at least the special effects dinosaurs, if you know what I mean. In '93, nobody had ever seen special effects like that. I mean, this is in a lot of circles regarded as Jurassic Park is anyway, as the movie that put CGI on the map in a big way.
It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, in order, and I said this when we talked last week, in order to bring people back in, they're gonna have to bring back one of the big aspects of Jurassic Park that made it so unique, and that is the park. This cannot be another Arthur Conan Doyle's Lost World. It can't be Journey to the Center of the Earth. It can't be this, out of nowhere, completely unrealistic way of shoving humans and dinosaurs together. They have to go back to the science.
Dinosaurs can't be running rampant in San Diego anymore? That won't work?
I like that movie.
Yeah, okay. No, they need to get back to the science of it. They need to get back to what was one of the key, I do want to say plot points of the original story. And I'm talking about the original Crichton novel. Right. And that was the corporate greed and the corporate espionage that eventually led to the park's downfall and put us into that whole running and screaming from dinosaurs thing. But you got to remember that one thing that nobody had seen before was a realistic and feasible way of putting humans and dinosaurs together. And I think the uniqueness of that concept is what made this story so fascinating to begin with. And they have to go back to that. And that's why I'm so excited to see what we think will be a movie about a fully imagined and functioning theme park with dinosaurs.
Now, what do we know about, obviously Austin said they're down in Costa Rica, they're doing the filming wherever they are. What do we know about potential release date? Anybody got info on that? Again, I'm naive to this. I'm coming to this one a little cold, sorry.
2015.
June.
Well, it depends. There's a Netherlands release date. Let me pull it back up. I just had it up for a second.
That's what she said.
But four, folks, if you're counting at home, 4 innuendos tonight.
Talking about filming in Costa Rica, they're also filming in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So
yeah, I saw some scenes actually from one of the places that's been set aside as a filming location, and it is an abandoned theme park. So that gives a little credence to the idea that we are going back to a park.
Which also gives some credence to that it's going to be the one in New Orleans, right outside of New Orleans, the old abandoned theme park, which numerous movies are getting filmed at in the next year, which is the old Six Flags over New Orleans there.
Interesting.
Yeah. What I'd like to see them recapture, Austin, and want to get your thoughts on this. I mean, we saw lots of dinosaurs, but it wasn't immediate in the film where we saw them. And then even that there was still a little mystery to some of the presentation of some of the velociraptors, for example, the mystery there. And even the T-Rex wasn't overdone. I hope we don't see where it's just all big T-Rex in your face like we're seeing, because it's going to be shot in 3D, because obviously Universal wants to take as much money from us as possible. And it might be cool to have a big T-Rex head in your face or in the middle screen, but I hope it's not one of these things where it's just so much, like a Michael Bay, CGI masturbation effort where it's just so much dinosaur in your face. I want to see them, but I still think the mystery of some of them as well. It was an exciting part of the first Jurassic Park film for me.
See, and I'm 100% with you there, especially when you consider that a couple of the movies have hinted at it, but they've eventually, in favor of, like you said, the whole running and screaming and dinosaurs in your face aspect, have completely abandoned some of the greatest parts of the storyline. And that there was a lot of mystery. There was, in the first novel anyway, and it was barely hinted. I think they had 2 lines on it on the movie. Was the whole idea about the lysine contingency? They bred things genetically into these dinosaurs that would they were not true dinosaurs. They were movie monsters, and they touch on that a lot in the books, but they rarely do in the movies. And they even hinted at it at Jurassic Park 3 when the Spinosaurus came out of nowhere. And there's a little scene where Billy and Dr. Grant are saying, "Oh, that wasn't on InGen's list. I wonder what else they were up to." And then you never hear anything about that again. So I really do hope they get back to some of that mystery. And this goes back to the whole science aspect of it. What else was InGen playing with? Because in the end, in the Jurassic Park novels, in the end, it was all about this corporation that was doing a lot of things that they shouldn't have, and we got to see the results and how devastating they were, and that made it fascinating.
So maybe that socialist message won't be in Jurassic World. We'll get tired of beating up on, corporate greed, and maybe we can get to something that's more real, like government stupidity with government legislation decisions. That would be more exciting, wouldn't it? Because that's realistic.
Yeah, they actually played on that a little bit too, and in all of the movies where the governments refused to acknowledge the existence of these islands or even help the people who got stuck on them. So
I've only got one request: bring back Jeff Goldblum. I think he's got to be in this film. So whatever it takes.
Do a Jeff Goldblum impersonation of his character, or Austin. You could probably do the chaos discussion, or his obsessive. We're sitting there at the table. Come on, just give us a quick Jeff Goldblum as Dr. Ian Malcolm.
Oh, where do you even start? My favorite part from him was actually from The Lost World when they're sitting there in that riverbank. Stegosaurs have just went by, and he's like, "Oh yeah, that's how it always starts." But then later there's running and screaming. That's not supposed to be an impersonation. That's just a badly done.
You see,
quote.
the pirates don't eat people, do they?
Yeah,
all right, moving on.
I got you. When the rides at Disneyland break down, the pirates don't eat people. Yeah.
There's a little pause. The pirates don't eat people. He's awesome. Bring it back. That's all I have. Maybe bring back the lawyer that the T-Rex ate too. Have him crapped out or something.
He's a badass in the novel.
Keith, anything else you want to add to this before we move on?
No, just looking at the film and the release dates. Can't get back to you, but they're filming Louisiana, Hawaii, San Diego, California. Hawaii, numerous locations in Hawaii. So folks out in Hawaii should have a great time getting an opportunity to see a little bit of filming.
Maybe Sammy volunteers house.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe be cool. Keith, are they filming in Hawaii? I just wonder.
Hawaii.
It was a little hazy, fuzzy for me. I got
it. It's confusing, Michael, because there's like 3 places and 20 of them are Hawaii. So,
moving on. Robocop has landed in theaters and landed right about where we expected, boys. It has got a 49% rating from critics and a 67% audience rating from the Rotten Tomatoes. Too bad, because the more I started hearing about the cast, Keaton and Gary Oldman, who's an incredible, always a favorite, Sam Jackson,
the guy who parts in trailers.
I thought this might be a little better than what it was, but it's starting to turn into a lot of what, like when they re-released Total Recall again, Michael, and it's not looking up for RoboCop.
Read some early reviews. In fact, I have my free ticket because I spent a whole $7 to buy this 4K remastered RoboCop.
Peter Weller right there.
Yeah, the good RoboCop. I got a free ticket to go see it, so I'm going to go see it for free. But to me, I think you're spot on, and I'm going to try to go with an open mind. But from the reviews I read from Slash Film and IO9 and a few others, it's this slick-looking film that doesn't have the heart, the emotion, or even the whimsical nature of the first film, which is what people like. Now, if they want to make a different RoboCop, it has to hit you somewhere emotionally. The loss, his son, his family, why there's some campy, cheesy moments in that film, it connected with. It had that 80s magic, if you will. So we'll see if this film has it. I'm sure it's going to look slick. Some of the effects look cool, but again, without story and without giving us that emotional connection. And all I can, and not to get off track too much, when I see the trailers and Sam Jackson up on that stage talking, I just think, is that the commercial that he's doing for the credit card company, or is this his role in the film? And I don't know if you heard about the Sam Jackson Lawrence Fishburne thing.
Oh yeah, that was all over the internet for the last few days.
Yeah, that's fantastic. But this, I'll go see it. I'm sure it'll look great, but I hope the film has some soul.
Keith, to Mike's point, I think one of the reasons why the film had a lot of soul, the original had a lot of soul, is because of director Paul Verhoeven. Now, the guy is renowned to be bloody. We know that, and RoboCop, the original, was certainly that in spots, especially when they try to off original RoboCop and now Star Trek Admiral who's dead, Peter Weller, and that gets a little gory. But I think Verhoeven, Keith, tended to focus on characters a bit more, and that's why we got a bit of a better character drama out of the first one. Mike's muted.
You sound good, Keith. You look good. Hey, while he's getting that together, the best.
Okay, we're still on. All right, there we go. But we've discussed this before, but when we have good character development, we have a good movie. You can get rid of. There's lots of movies out there. No great animation, no CGI, no nothing. Good character development makes a movie. You go back throughout history, when there was horrible CGI or no CGI and horrible special effects,
Right.
you got great movies. The character development's there, and to Michael's point, it doesn't seem like it's going to be there in this film, and it's going to look great. It's going to look great, and we're going to watch that film just because we want to see what looks great. But that character development, I don't think it's going to be there. I don't think anybody's really anticipating it to be there, except for the Barbasol. But because Barbasol makes commercials, but it's not going to be there for it. But now, I'm going to watch it. I'm going to go see it, and I'm probably seeing it Saturday or Sunday this week.
I think it falls in that same category as the new Total Recall did. It's all hard outer candy shell, Austin, and not a lot of inside worthy materials to be eaten.
And Eminem.
What are you asking me?
Yeah, I'm just throwing it at you, buddy. That's how we do that here.
Oh, it's funny. You guys, we're not going to date you guys at all, but I think you're a little bit older than I am. When the first Robocop movie came out, I was 5. A little bit, yeah. So, Robocop 1 came out. I was 5 years old. So by the time I was allowed to watch them, I was allowed to watch them, I got to watch all 3 at the same time, and the violence to me was something I'd never seen before.
Right.
So that's why those movies stick in my head so much.
See, and I thought you were going to say when I was allowed to watch them was 2 days ago when Katie was in the living room with me. See, I thought that would have been.
The lights were all on. It was daylight outside, and
right.
No, the scene when Murphy first gets killed, and then there's the splattering of the acid guy with the car, and then you get into the sequels with the nuke. It was so much violence, and for me as a kid, I was eating it up. It was great. It was but at the same. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. I was just saying, Mike, I think we're in the era of, and in fact, I know we are. We're in that era of the retread film. The original property, and we'll talk about Gravity in a minute, which really isn't a property so much as it's a one-off. But we're really in the era of retread film. How can we take a thing that we did and try to milk another 200-300 million out of it? Agree or disagree?
So I think this goes in cycles in cinema. I think
Right.
there's, if we went back and looked from the beginning, if we could get Dr. Adam Jonkian from, I'm going to always pronounce his last name wrong, from Digital Bits, he's a film historian and looks at these types of trends in film. I think, we see this go in cycles, or if these films borrow from each other. When there's a property like, Robocop, they figure, all right, you guys who are teenagers in high school, or some of you were still in like second grade or first grade, when you're watching when these films came out, let's redo it.
or kindergarten, or at home with mama.
Yeah, or still in somebody's sack swimming around.
On top of like a cow in Houston or whatever.
Something. Dreaming about future J.J. Watt love.
That's exactly
That's
right.
my wife. Thank you very
Exactly
much.
right.
And she was not. Actually, she was born the year the first one came out.
Oh, so on a segue before I finish my point, I got great pictures of J.J. Watt at the Pro Bowl when he's out at his practice. He has little sleeves cut off his shirt so he can show off the gun show. Check me out, like I'm J.J. Watt. But,
Please don't give those to my wife. Please.
yeah, I'm going to post them on your wall on Facebook. Right there, it's going to happen. But I think just what we see, they're like, okay, so these guys now have more money. We'll get them to go watch the reboot, and then maybe these guys have kids now, and we can get their kids hooked and keep this thing going. Or somebody always thinks they can make something better. There's very few retreads, if you will, to take your term, that are better than the original in terms of, especially capturing the emotion. And Keith mentioned something, the emotion of the film. Keith mentioned something earlier, like, movies with terrible, visual effects. And I don't know, is he thinking like Ice Pirates or Battle Beyond the Stars? Or because I think of
Don't diss Ice Pirates.
I love this one. I'm just thinking, what is he trying? What is he talking about? Because those films, even though they have their campy practical effects,
Right.
those films to me are more emotional, better films. And that's why, again, I don't want to prejudge this, like you guys accused me of doing with Oblivion before it came out. That there's just
What movie's that?
the time that we were in our lives, where we were growing up when this film came out, that this film can recapture that, regardless of how slick it looks and how cool some of the actors are. It's for some of those things they should just be left alone. It's a great film.
We're definitely in that era of we'll just give them a lot of CG and send them home for $13. I think.
Do you want to see Jaws again? Do you want to see somebody take a CG and make a new Jaws film?
Don't say it too loud. That'll happen. You know that.
Yeah, no. Yeah, Deep Blue Sea. I hear you. Or
Well, I mean,
But-
I don't think a remake of Jaws is off the table. You know, I don't think it's...
No,
I
don't give
think
him
it's that
ideas.
far afoot. Hey, you're watching the Science Fiction Show with your pals Michael Wistock, Jason Tudor, Keith Hewen, and our special guest this evening, Jurassic Park expert and senior dinosaur correspondent, Austin May. He's in one of the 4 boxes that are around me. I just don't know because I haven't seen the end video yet, but he's here. He's in the black T-shirt in the Jurassic Park. Mike is the one with all of the Oblivion stuff, and Keith is the one that looks like a giant floating baby head. Last week, you may recall, or last show, you may recall, he had that wonderful glowing halo above his head, and I'm the one wearing the Red Wings jersey.
He's either Ted Williams or Walt Disney now because he just looks like a frozen head on the screen.
He does
He's
look like
old. He's
frozen.
fallen
He might just be
asleep.
frozen. He might be frozen. Period. I wonder if we lost him. Are you there, Keith?
He's asleep.
Well, I think we might have lost him. One of his kids must have turned on the Xbox. Well, hopefully we'll get him back. All right, guys. Where are you? How are we doing with the?
No,
you're
he
in the
was
middle.
me.
There he is.
Yeah,
Maybe
there we go.
his video will pop back. We can still hear you, buddy.
Oh,
There he is.
there we go.
I can see all
There it
three
is.
of you. so-
There he is. All right, he's
Dave.
back now. All right, good. How about the Olympics? Are we happy, sad? Do we care? I've been actually more and more enjoying the Olympics these past few days.
Yeah. Let me know when you're done talking about this. I'm gonna go read some things.
Nice. Anybody else?
I'm done talking about the Olympics. I'm gonna go read this Pacific Rim prequel comic while you're talking about Olympics.
All right. Moving on to the next topic. Man,
Oh, that was so
yeah,
wrong.
I
We
guess
got
we'll leave the
a
Olympics
banjo
to
playing.
All right, well, let's take a moment to, Austin, you want to hit us a little banjo interlude while you got it in your hand?
Oh, do I really want to?
Yes, do it. Let's go.
You want to hear? You want to hear my terrible rendition of the Star Wars theme song?
Do it.
I do. And I was saying, Jason, did you ask him to read it?
No, see, I'm going to screw it up now. No, see, now I'm on the spot.
Come on.
I screwed it up.
Woo!
Good job. Hey,
I when it's just me in my front room, I can do the whole thing perfectly, and you put me on this note.
It was wonderful. The gravity of the situation called for it. Speaking of gravity, yes, that was a segue. It's time for Michael Wistock to fess up and confess his love for gravity.
You know, this
Beyond
is
Oblivion?
it's a good movie. It's probably like maybe one of the 6th, 7th good movies of last year. So you brought this up, wise guy. The 2 most underrated films, underappreciated films that people need to see that as people watch them now that didn't go to the theater, Ender's Game and Oblivion. Everyone that I run into, I just saw Ender's Game. Like, wow, it's much better than I thought it was going to be. I really enjoyed it. Thought Harrison Ford was cool. And as people who hadn't read the books, nice twist in. Same thing about Oblivion. But Gravity. So this Gravity overcame my Sandra Bullock rule.
Wow.
I don't know if Melissa McCarthy would have been in it. So, I'm not that whole that whole speed, the whole miscongeniality. I mean, I can't. Yeah, Sandra Bullock just doesn't do it for me. Now, I know I'm gonna get in trouble with a lot of other folks who love Sandra Bullock, but she doesn't do it for me. But
Have you seen The Proposal?
No, I have. Hold on, I have a penis. No, I have not seen that.
There we go again. Man, we're just rolling tonight.
Of its existence, but anyway.
Yeah, no. Again, I think I'm getting older, but my testosterone levels are still high enough that I haven't seen that. Nor as much as I like what's his name, Channing Tatum. I have not seen The Vow or Magic Mike. I know it's one of Keith's favorite films, but
Absolutely.
but her performance is so good. And this, even though there's a couple of the CG elements that look wonky to me, just the first few moments made me regret not going to see this in IMAX. The Earth in orbit and watching, so I'm like, God, you big dummy. You read everybody else said this looks amazing in IMAX, but I'm thinking, oh, my wife, doesn't do well with motion sickness things. We can't go see it. But the first few minutes of that film so make it worthwhile. What I would have loved to see, because you just jump right into the movie, which was refreshing, is a nice overture like the Black Hole had, the one that was written for Tron Legacy that you didn't get to see, but back in the days of Ben-Hur and these films that had the overture, that would have been kind of cool for this film to play some really nice, some classical theme in front of it, and then you jump into it. But I tell you, just the way the film was handled, I mean, I loved Alfonso, Jason, go ahead and say his last name because I love the way you said it last episode.
Corazon, I can't remember.
Yeah, I love Children of Men. I thought that was a really dark film that I enjoyed. I mean, but this film was magnificent. It was good. It was enjoyable. And I forgot that. I mean, I like George Clooney. I think he's cool, man. I liked him in the Ocean's films, and he's all right. And he was even all right as Batman with nipples, right? But
no. Alfonso Cuarón Orozco is his name.
Thank you. Maria Conchita Alonso.
All those. All right, so give me a culp of that. I still have not seen it, but I did see Wolf of Wall Street as of the viewing of our last film. Here's
a nice family
film. Here's my take on Wolf of Wall Street, just quickly. It's out of our genre, but it's worth mentioning. The thing about Wolf of Wall Street is you can I think you can look at it two ways. You can look at it as all that excess is kind of part of the pastiche of the film. You know, you got what's his name jerking it off at the pool, and you've got like end to end, the sex is just everywhere. And there's some other things that go on. I won't spoil those, but it's a solid 3 hours. There's only one part of the film that really drags. Or you could flip it the other way and go, you know what? He pretty much told us what was going to happen the first 13 minutes of the film. After the first 6 sex acts on screen, I think I got it. So I think you could fall into either of those camps and say, yeah, it was okay. And I'll tell you what, for all these performances that people are talking about in this film, Mike, and we all have these discussions about character, the best character of the movie, the one you care about the most, is in it for the least amount of time, and that's Matthew McConaughey. He's at the beginning of the film, you watch him do his thing, and then he's gone, and you're secretly rooting about midway through the film, oh, he's going to pop up here, it's going to be great. Here's where he comes in and comes back as the guy who teaches, but he doesn't. You never see him again. So, good film, I wouldn't say like, wow, vaulted greatness film, but not bad.
Yeah, I heard that. I heard that his performance kind of steals the film.
It does.
People who
totally
saw,
does, and the other performances are fine. I wouldn't say they're not plastic. I mean, but you've seen these performances before. Maybe that's another way to say it. So just
Keith, that's your line. That's your cue. That's what you say. We've seen this before. It's nothing new. Never mind.
Thank you. Yeah, I wanted you to say it for me, Michael. So.
Yes, I know, but it's like perfect when you do it. That's interesting, because you made me think about Matthew McConaughey stealing the film there. Similarly, we thought, hey, maybe the Hulk kind of steals the Avengers as great as the Avengers was. His performance was amazing. And there's other things like that where you get characters that you see just a little taste of them, and you want more of them. Like Laura Dern in Jurassic Park. You just want more.
He was damn good, and he's on a roll right now. So it's if only if you stay for the first 30 minutes of the film, it's worth your time to go see. Happy Valentine's Day for those of you. You should be getting this sometime on the weekend. Again, we were all sitting here.
That guy wants to talk.
Thanks, Michael. I appreciate it. Mike, sorry.
Go ahead.
I had a thought.
Go ahead.
Okay, oh, no. Wolf of Wall Street, because I just watched it. All right, if you want to see a movie where Leonardo DiCaprio starts small and gets hit by some hard times and then goes through some illegal steps to make it big in the end, and then he gets busted, spoiler alert, and then he comes back and he has a really smoking hot female lead, whatever, watch Catch Me If You Can.
Or The Aviator.
It's got Amy Adams. I mean, it's already better because of her.
That's great. Now, Jason, what type of sex is in this film? Because Austin mentioned if you want to watch Leo DiCaprio start small, and then
well done.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, Mike.
Good catch.
This is the show for adults.
Missionaries. There's a 3-way. There's an orgy.
You got a 4-way going on right now.
There's like a scene where they're like snorting blow off of people's body. I mean, it's the whole. I mean, I'm not averse to any of that. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, it is the full Monty of sexual smorgasbord. That's no joke.
There you go with full Monty, male frontal nudity. That's the theme.
Is
there a gator or a kaiju in it?
No.
Damn.
No. So there's our Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day to our wives, as Keith sparks up in front of us there. So before we get to Michael's, we'll close out with Michael's story about Skywalker Ranch. Clone Wars. Was this a surprise that it's going to Netflix? Is this different from what was supposed to happen, Mike, or no?
What's interesting, it was kind of a tightly held secret because, obviously Disney owning, Star Wars now. If Clone Wars, Cartoon Network has the rights to air those episodes for 5 years.
Right.
If they would have released season 6, then Clone Wars would have owned it. It doesn't help Disney. So this move by Lucasfilm to sell to Netflix is cool. Last week, those Germans, those exciting, laughable, fun-loving, frolicking Germans, kind of broke this news a little bit, saying that, hey, here's the preview of season 6, and everybody's like, wait, what? They didn't know us. We thought we were working on Rebels and Rebels.
Right.
But then all of a sudden, this came. So the Germans kind of released the news last week, and it's cool. This is the wave of the future for me. You think about the aviator, the way of the future.
Yeah.
And then you catch that, the horror, that reference. I'm linear television. I'm done with you, right? I am so done with linear television. So I love Netflix. Make a season of Arrested Development. Put it all out there and let me watch it.
Right.
I love my Apple TV, and I know Apple is gearing up for something big. Not to get way off topic, where I can go and subscribe. You can watch ABC right now through Apple TV. You don't have to buy the episodes. Now, they don't give you everything, and you can watch ESPN, you can watch HBO if you have subscriptions through your cable provider, but we're getting close to where you can buy these things a la carte, and this will change. So this big merger that's happening between Comcast and Time Warner Cable, if you guys are watching the news lately, which is going to be horrible for the American consumer.
Yes.
You guys all off, not in America, really don't give a shit.
That's happening here.
But it's bad, and those services are not the greatest to begin with. But linear television, you can kiss my ass. I'm done with you. Let me watch all my great shows via my Apple TV on demand. So
well,
there we go.
I think this is the cable model flipping, you guys. This is we used to be 500 channels, and you took your shot on watching 30 of them. And now the cable model is becoming, this sort of a la carte model where you're still going to have a box, but instead of on that box taking a chance and hoping whatever stupid gold panning show you want to watch comes on at 4 o'clock when you're home, now you just go to, the gold panning show's on. Click, I turn it on, and you're done with it. Of course, I think that means we're going to pay a bigger premium to be able to do that at some point. Well, maybe not, but whatever.
It was about 6 years ago, and it was either New York and, Michael, you may know, L.A., New York, and a couple of other cities tested the whole a la carte thing. It may have been via Comcast, one of the other cables. And it didn't do that well because people still wanted their, all of these extra channels that come in and just pipe in so they can flip back and forth. But then as iTunes and other things like Lulu or Hulu and all these other things started popping in, Lulu's the book,
Glossary, for printing books, yeah.
So as they started popping in, people are downloading more stuff, and as better internet connections come in, they're doing it. I don't watch anything on the television anymore. I mean, I shouldn't say on the television. I don't have cable coming into the house. I have 2 English channels coming in through the house through the Belgacom because I get it for the same price with my internet. I download or watch everything that I want to watch. Like Mike was saying, I pick it off from iTunes or any of the other sites. I watch it on my computer or stream it to the television and watch it. And that's what I watch. Same thing with movies. And in France, they've tested a couple of times with, I've watched 2 different movies directly from the theater. The night they were released in the theater, and I paid a little extra dollars for it, more than if I was in the theater itself, but I watched those first releases right on my computer at home instead of having to drive to France to watch it on the, on the big screen.
The hardships of driving to France, everybody.
Well, it's a 2.5 hour drive to watch a 2-hour movie, and then 2.5 hour drive to come back in the middle of the night.
You are watching the science fiction show, not in France. It's Keith and Michael and me, and Austin May, our special guest, is here with us as we wrap up tonight's show, which has been spirited and lively on a number of topics. So the other Star Wars news, Mike, is the ILM expansion to London. Now, Lucas and crew had moved into Singapore. I don't know if it was, late 2013 too as well, right? So the London expansion allows them to obviously work the new Star Wars thing and some other things. Yeah,
so the Clone Wars on Netflix I think is pretty cool.
I think it's interesting because if we can go back to that for a second, I think it's interesting because you essentially said if Cartoon Network gets it, they get to milk the rights out of it and everything. So did they just not win the rights to showing it, or did Lucasfilm decide to make a season 6 and then go, screw you, we'll put it on Netflix? What did I miss there?
They were already like the follow-up to Van Halen 3 where they had recorded 4 songs with Gary Cherone but never released that material.
Right.
The same thing was done. Dave Filoni and crew had so many episodes in the can already for season 6, and you kind of this big cliffhanger where you leave Ahsoka Tano just kind of in the wind out of the Jedi Order. Like, we have to wrap this up, and we've already spent all this money and all this work. That's a very expensive animated show. It is three times as expensive as most animated shows on TV. But if they would have continued with their licensing agreement, that doesn't benefit Disney, benefits Cartoon Network. They would have made some money indirectly through Lucasfilm. The Netflix way makes sense. They sell it off there and make tons of money.
Make a boatload of money.
Yeah, your beautiful topic here about ILM expansion, which I think is great for VFX companies. Part of
it does open up a hell of a lot of new jobs.
Yeah, which is cool. And if back to your Singapore Lucasfilm thing, if you haven't looked at the pictures of their building, the glass-looking sandcrawler in Singapore, it's fantastic.
Really
what I read about that, the ILM London guys are going to work on one of the projects in addition to Star Wars Episode 7 and the other spin-off films, but they're primarily going to work on the Avengers 2, The Age of Ultron. So that is one of the big projects that they're going to work on in the UK, because there will be lots of filming for that. They talked about setting up a remote shop, there at the studio in London, but they decided against that. But one of the primary projects, again, is the projects they're going to work on is the Avengers film. So good for Lucasfilm and the ILM, and hopefully, to me, they still set the standard for effects. Right. I know Weta does some amazing things. The Digital Domain, who keeps getting dissed by everyone. We won't even talk about the Academy Awards again. We covered that. But this is good news for Star Wars folks. And hopefully with our London correspondent, who is a guest, but I wish he was a regular recurring member of this show.
Sort of London. He lives up in the swampy north
north
close
London. Enough. He can get there. I mean, it's probably easier than Keith driving, to see a film, right?
Yeah, he can get there faster than me.
London is closer to me than Keith's apparently local movie theater. So,
well, the good news is the local movie theater on the installation has got, like, this weekend we've got Lego and The Monuments Men and some other good movies. So
great movie, by the way, Lego.
Yeah, we're going.
I thought you meant Monuments Men.
No, but we're going to test that this weekend. But now we're starting to get some first-run films at the same time that they're showing anywhere else in Europe on post. So that's great news for me, because I like Desolation, Nostalgia. I can go catch those things, at the same time that other people see them. So good news. But on the whole the Clone Wars, I'm just glad that it's not gone.
I think a lot of people are glad it's not gone. I was.
Exactly.
Surprised. I thought the way the Disney's licensing thing was and everything else, Mike and Keith, I thought it was just, all right, well, that's how it ends, and there's no more gold to be mined from that. I'm glad it gets one more season. How many episodes?
There was a lot of story to go, and I'm just hoping that by doing this, they can drag it out for another couple of seasons.
How many episodes, Mike?
I think it's 13, if I read correctly or remember correctly. I think we're getting 13
That's a lot of
episodes.
All right, so before we need to kind of wrap this up, but we want to hear about Mike's Skywalker Ranch visit if he's amiable to doing that. But before we do you either of you two gentlemen, Austin or Keith, have any other thing that we have not covered tonight? Keith,
Walking Dead started up again.
What's that?
The Walking Dead is back.
It was terrible.
Oh, and
absolutely.
Hold on a second. Hold on, Austin. Are you like in between drug tests or something over there? What? I mean,
they could have called the spoiler alert. They could have called the entire episode "Carl has some close calls and eats pudding."
Okay, well, I can get that from you, but you've watched every episode.
And honestly, nothing happened.
We can't delve too far into Walking Dead, but what I will tell you, science fiction show fans, is that we will be doing in between our episodes something we like to call the Science Fiction Show Minute, where Michael, Keith, and I will talk about a topic that is of particular interest to us for a minute or two and embellish on those topics. So if you don't hear it on the show, you might hear it on one of these sci-fi show minutes that come in between the podcasts, which come about every 2 weeks. All right, Mike, take us to Skywalker Ranch. What happened here? How did you get this privilege to be able to go back out again?
That's a fantastic story, but can we license the Don Henley song New York Minute for our sci-fi show minutes? Can we look into doing that?
It's too slow. I mean, it's a good song, and it's full of angst, but I don't think it's the right tone, do you?
Well, maybe for Keith's minutes. Maybe we'll use that for his segments when he does it.
What about, like, taking what they're given because I'm working for a living? I think that'd be...
That's kind of peppy and upbeat. Or maybe just, Austin on the banjo playing the Star Wars thing.
I like that. I like that a lot.
What's her name? Missy Elliott, 1 Minute Man.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's Mike. That's the lead into Michael's. But
No, mine is Motley Crue, 10 Seconds to Love. That
We
Well,
could go
yeah.
old school, Mike, and do Minute by Minute by Michael McDonald.
minute by minute.
if anybody on this
Missing out on.
be great.
You were 5 when that song came out, so we're not gonna educate you on that.
You know, so
Same
I was
here,
thinking
Robocop.
about this. I was thinking about this last night. I posted my picture, and like, oh, he's out at Skywalker Ranch again. Old news. We've heard this.
I met the president again.
I met the president again. I got shot in the buttocks. They gave me ice cream. Yes, I was thinking about this last night. Nice by the way, from Umbridge. Name that movie.
Harry Potter.
No.
There was an
Girls?
Umbridge in Harry Potter.
No, one of our listeners, one of the 6 will know who from Umbridge is. So this was different though, because last night was part of what I think capped an amazing day for, guest of the show, Chris Reif, as well as his good friend Darren and Michael McMaster, who I met yesterday, who famed R2 builders. These guys, unbelievable amount of detail and work. So the night before, I had the opportunity to go to Rancho Obi-Wan, have dinner with Don Bees, who was also a guest of the show.
Guest of the show, friend of the show, Don Bees. Yep.
Right, so I had to decline that opportunity. Needed to take care of the family. Family needed me, so we did that. But yesterday, I had the opportunity. And Chris, like, hey, we're going to be out at the archives at Skywalker Ranch. The archives. What would be in the archives at Skywalker Ranch? Oh, original C-3PO parts, Darth Vader, Stormtrooper helmets. The photos that I saw and the images and things I saw were unbelievable out there at the archives. They're working on a project that I can't talk about, but they were able to go out, see the archives, look at these props, and guess who's in the archives who I really wish I could have got a photo with?
Who?
In his red jacket, his red shiny jacket.
Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson?
No, red shiny jacket from when he
was
landed
the same place.
in Cleveland back
Howard
in the 80s.
the Duck.
He was there in
No
all
way.
his glory. One of the actual autoerotica animatronic puppets of Howard in this cool little red jacket. So Chris invited me because Chris is actually staying at the inn at Skywalker Ranch. Now I've been to Skywalker Ranch many times. I mean, but I never made it down to the inn. And I drive by, you go by the bridge, and it just looks like a little tiny, like, oh, there's the inn.
1:00.
Thank you. My IMAX just said it was 1 o'clock.
I'm
But I
so
never-
smart.
They are. Mine tells time. She talks to me when I get lonely in here by myself.
Sweet.
Yeah. So I never made it in there. So Chris had worked it out, and the story, and I don't want to divulge how he wound up staying in the inn because I don't want our listeners to crack that code, but they cracked the code of how when you're coming out to work on a project, you can stay at the inn at Skywalker Ranch, which if you haven't had the opportunity, I highly recommend it, but I can't divulge how you did it here, how to do that here, but now I know. So they did their little project yesterday, and they said, hey, come out here, we hang out at the ranch. And we went up there, and I went to the inn. Now, they stayed in the John Ford room. At the inn at Skywalker Ranch, they've got a full-blown common area that has these little rooms that are like apartments. They're tiny and small. There's apartments. Some of them are like, hotel rooms from the standpoint, hey, it's got a bed and a shower, not much there. But they stayed in this two-room luxury suite that had a dining room, fireplace, tons of original books and pictures I wish I could share. But it just was amazing, the suite they stayed in.
Well, yeah, but did it have AFN?
It did, it had Wi-Fi though, because there's no cellular signal out there.
That's a
And I
joke for
saw
our
something-
military folks.
Yeah, and so I saw so many things that I've never seen before. But before I tell you this one thing that blew me away, we actually cooked dinner at the inn at Skywalker Ranch.
Yeah, blue
And
milk.
there wasn't any blue milk, but one of the coffee machines was labeled. It had a name, and the name of the coffee machine was THX 1138, Skywalker Ranch olive oil. This $6,000 espresso machine, and this kitchen was amazing. So Chris, after we did this thing, we made dinner in the kitchen, sat there and ate. Where I'm assuming many filmmakers. There's a guy who came in who was working on post production for a film called Tomorrowland. Look that up, sports fans.
Oh, yeah.
So we sat there and visited, looked at things from the archives, looked at all these images, and I'd never seen this before, and I had never seen a picture of it. But on the back lawn in the guest room, and I may or may not have taken a picture of this, then I most likely won't be able to share if I actually took a photo of it. There's a birdhouse. Now, if you look at the picture that I posted on Facebook, before the show of me standing in front of the main house. This birdhouse is an exact replica of George's main house at Skywalker Ranch. It was pretty cool.
And I suppose if I can take a minute too, it's kind of sad that he can't get his thing going in San Francisco with the Lucasfilm Museum and things like that. It's just that breaks my heart a lot.
It's a funny story about that. I mean, the only of the 3 opportunities that's self-funded, he's taking $700 million of his Disney movie check money to build this facility. But because he wants to put it on what's considered prime realty by this ridiculous woman who's running the Presidio Trust, where right now there's a thing called the sports basement there, which has the old Army PX that was built in the 80s, and it looks like a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And it would be fantastic to have this facility there. They're like, no, you put it somewhere else, because they want this prime realty for what? For something else? You got a $700 million self-funded museum. San Francisco is supposed to be about culture. I like George's comment. Move it to Chicago, where they're a little more willing. Same thing with the folks in Marin. People, talk about corporate greed. Government stupidity runs rampant in the county of San Francisco, and certainly in the county of Marin, and where it comes to this man who wants to do so many philanthropic things and give this money back. He's not a greedy guy. He wants to do this amazing thing, and the people... Yeah, the people in the Presidio Trust are just ridiculous. But so this visit, for me, in fact, when you vamp for a minute, I'm going to go get something that I brought back.
All right, I'll vamp for a minute. While you go get that, and you can wrap up your story, I'll just say that our next show should be out, Keith, right around 2 weeks from now. Do you have any Kickstarter or Indiegogo or any other things that you're close with right now that you want to plug?
Well, we're still expecting some World War Kaiju stuff to come out, and they've worked with us and been with us for a while. We're going to have some Sand in the Rain promo material coming up that we're going to be bringing to a couple of shows in April and May, which is big stuff. Right now, working with another kaiju, because you guys know if it's kaiju, I'm involved in it. Working with a game, a Mecha versus Kaiju, and those guys are really doing some great stuff. It's going to be a great board and sort of like a D&D type game.
Cool.
So it's kind of exciting. There's a lot of other ones that I'm not going to mention tonight because we've hit them up on the last couple of shows. Cool. But stay tuned on our Facebook page to check these out, because I think a lot of our listeners, if they will see these and they'll be very interested. Viewers. And all it takes is that's right, we got viewers now. Sorry. So it only takes $1 or $5 or $1 or €5 to put that money in.
All right. Well, let's go back to senior Star Wars correspondent Michael Wistock now, who's returned from his sojourn.
This better be good.
Yep. No, I made a judgment call. I made a judgment call not to bring the one thing, because if I put that up there, I may or may not get in trouble.
All right, that's fair.
And I may or may not get in trouble for this, but I just have to tease it, because this is really, I'm going to say,
Please don't flash your penis. Please don't
facsimile. I'd have to stand back a lot farther to get it all on the screen. But I just show this for a second. This is really a facsimile. It's not a real thing. So that may or may not have been in the room. That is probably supposed to stay in the room, and it may or may not be But anyway, so that's really, I think, I took a photo, and that is a reproduction of the photo I took. Nice. That I was in, because you're supposed to be in those photos. But there's so many cool things there. This morning I missed on the opportunity, and I almost brought one home, but eggs from Skywalker Ranch chickens. The guys had some of those this morning, and I had some vegetables that were from the garden there at Skywalker Ranch. So a unique experience for me, cooking at the inn at Skywalker Ranch, eating there, hanging out with my buddies, and I stayed there long enough that I almost considered that I spent the night with Chris Rife, which won't be the first time. I normally don't sleep with Rife when we travel. Yeah, it's usually Chris Travis that I sleep with. In fact, I think of the two Chris's, I've shared a bed more often with Travis than Rife.
Yeah.
But that takes me back to that whole Apple iWatch thing that we were talking about this week. And
it's all on video.
Yeah.
All right, well, another fantastic Skywalker Ranch adventure comes to a close, and so does another edition of the Science Fiction Show. Gentlemen, let's go around the squares. Any last words, Austin, before we see you off until another episode?
Yeah. I want to say that I also went to a private resort-type area by a company that I fully appreciate and represent, and I also took something secret, and I'm going to tease it, and I'm not going to show you what's inside, but it may or may not involve eggs.
Please don't show your penis.
Oh no! So.
Keith?
No, I'm still laughing at the barber salsa. Go ahead and pass me.
All
I
right.
stole eggs too, Michael.
Michael, anything else?
Anything else for me or for Keith?
For you.
Oh, hey, so yeah, again, apologies to Brian Christensen and to Joe Green. You were right, and I'm gonna make him listen. He may listen already, but Bill Wong, I think he's out in the East Coast somewhere. Bill Wong sent me these cool because he didn't want to see them go in the trash. So Bill Wong, thanks for sending me these cool Star Wars Return of the Jedi Series 1 red and Series 2 blue with stickers. And yes, I think I want to go ahead and get that. And
all right, Keith, anything else before I wrap it up?
No, I want to hear the phone call.
All right, everybody, thanks for listening, or thanks for watching this edition's episode 70 of the Science Fiction Show. We'll catch you in about 2 weeks. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Peace. Kowokian monkey lizard tacos. Take a bite out of crime.
Tell us how you cut 'em.
Thank you for listening to the Science Fiction Show. Don't forget to subscribe on iTunes or tell a friend to subscribe today. See you next week.